Well, let me gain and lose fans at the same time. Freedom is a messed up word. You already have freedom. Every one of you has. You're choosing to do the thing you're currently doing. So let's get really real. You have freedom. So let's just stop looking for freedom. You already have it. What you mean is you want to make your actions economically change your economic situation. What I'm going to inspire all of you to realize is stop looking for freedom and start looking for the next level of stability.
Have you ever felt like you're doing the work, improving your skills, checking all the right boxes, and still not seeing the momentum you expected? In this epic conversation, I'm joined by Michael Bernoff, a communication strategist and the author of Average Sucks. Michael has spent decades helping leaders and entrepreneurs understand how language shapes confidence, decisions, and results. We talk about why so many people settle without realizing it, how internal dialogue quietly limits growth, and the role communication plays in sales, leadership, and self-belief. One moment that really stood out to me was when Michael shared a simple phrase he uses to empower others, and how that same idea changed the way he connects with his own son. It's a small shift, but it carries a lot of weight. If you're interested in sharpening how you communicate and breaking through internal barriers that might be holding you back, I think you'll enjoy this conversation.
Welcome back, guys. This is Shaan Rais, and you are here with us and my phenomenal guest for this episode, Michael Bernoff. Michael Bernoff, welcome to the show. This is the $1 Billion Brand Podcast for CEOs, leaders, and visionaries who are ready to scale exponentially, not at all interested in incremental growth. I'm only going to bring you exponential thought leaders that have done absolutely extraordinary work, of which Michael Bernoff is one. Michael, welcome to the podcast.
Well, I'm excited to be here, Shaan, and I love that. It sounds like move quick, exponential, because there's no reason as an entrepreneur to take anything slow.
100%. So tell me a little bit about the coaching, the one-on-one coaching, and your Human Connect. Is that the Human Communication Institute?
Yeah, I'm in it right now. I'll start there. I guess I'm getting older these days, but 23, 24 years ago, got this great idea that there's got to be a place where people can go to study the most important subject in the world is communication. What makes people do the things they do? What makes you do the things you do? So it started off was a business name, and eventually, years later, we bought an institute, which used to be an old temple and a church. We've got a place here in North Scottsdale, Arizona, where on a daily basis, thousands and thousands of people across every week will come through our institute, learning and understanding how their words and their language affects the things they do. So we work with a lot of entrepreneurs. We teach courses and classes, and the institute's open to other high-functioning entrepreneurs to run their own events out of as well. So it's based on one simple theory that we believe that communication is the most underdeveloped and underutilized asset that all of us have to get the things we want in this world, because everything comes down to how we communicate it. And that is what we teach and share, because the schools weren't going to do it. So we had to come up with it.
Very good. So you've been an entrepreneur for 25 years.
I would say my whole life. I've never had a job, Shaan. So I was hustling at 13, man, with a landscape business back in Jersey growing up. So I would say my entire life.
Wow. Okay. So you're right across the bridge. You know, I'm from Harlem, New York. So you're in Jersey. And
back as a kid, I'm in Scottsdale now, but I'm from New Jersey.
That's right. That's right. Let me ask you a question, because I have a very interesting background based on that. What was it like for you growing up in New Jersey?
Well, I grew up, I guess, what was it like? I didn't know any different, because I lived in the same house from 0 days old to 17. And it was very interesting because my parents are from the Bronx, and I grew up in a tough life. My parents, I'm going to give you the quick story. My parents grew up in the Bronx in, what would you call it? Like the government, I think almost like government housing type stuff. Like they grew up not rent control type stuff, like rent control and government stuff, like Pelham Parkway and Jerome Ave. My dad's family did better than my mom's.
Ooh, Jerome Ave, okay.
My dad grew up in Jerome Ave, right, by Yankee Stadium. Not when it was better like it is now, right? Yankees fans, and they wanted a better life. My grandparents worked real hard. We moved to Jersey, and I grew up like a middle-class kid, Shaan, in Jersey, where I had big dreams, but everyone around me was doing about the same. Biggest reason I wrote my book, Average Sucks, is because everybody I came across did about the same. They acted the same. They did the same. And I had a very normal 70s, 80s childhood until I finally moved out to Arizona and I saw how other people lived. So it's very interesting. I had a very middle class, right down the middle, nice childhood, had some challenges like every kid has, shy as a kid, a lot of different things, but that was my childhood was very average. It was like everyone did about the same and no one really went for great things. Very few.
What was one of those main challenges that you had growing up?
Well, I was shy. And I was shy because my parents are amazing people, but they're not very pushy. They're not entrepreneurs. They're my mom's a teacher, my dad's an engineer. I had no trouble making friends, but I think the biggest challenge I had was nobody really taught me how to go get the things that I wanted. And I remember as a kid, I had all the things everybody else had happen, got picked on, get beat up. We've had these things occur, right? All of us. And I was really shy till I was about 15, 16 years old. And I never I never really caught on to how it really works. So like if I wanted something, I backed down and I didn't go get it, whether it was playing hockey and I wanted to be on the team. My book is about the opening of that. So that was some of the biggest challenge I had is like I settled instead of getting the things I wanted. Because of that, I lacked a lot of confidence and self-esteem as a kid.
Very good. What changed at 16?
I think I got a little freedom. I started seeing what was on the outside. I started like examining. I went like outside my neighborhood. We went to, I don't know if you know Jersey well, from Little Rockaway, New Jersey. I went to like Short Hills where the rich people lived. And I'd ask my mom, like, where did they get these cars? And she'd say, you got to be a business owner. You got to work hard. You got to be a good person. And I did all that stuff, but I didn't really get really great advice. And I started seeing these other options. I started like, what are these people doing that I'm not? And I started asking questions like, what do they do? What do they do? What do they do? And it started really opening up my mind to you can live differently.
Very good. Very good. I heard you mention your mother. How important was your mother and father's input on your development?
A lot because I've learned a lot of great things from them and a lot of stuff that I'll even tell them openly that I choose not to follow, right? So they taught me really great moral stuff, really great how to take care of people, push hard, do some of the things you need. When it comes to taking risk in decision making, that's not their thing. My dad's an aerospace engineer, very particular, very exact. When he made mistakes, and as an entrepreneur, you make a mistake, you lose money. He makes a mistake, people die because it was like stealth bombers and F-15s and F-16s, like not good. We don't make mistakes. So super important in my thinking. But I truly believe, Sean, that your parents are either going to be an example of what to be or potentially what not to do. And I believe I picked the right parents for me. I believe I picked them like you pick your womb. And I
That's
believe I
right.
picked the perfect parents to give me a great foundation, but then I chose to also do my own thing.
Very good. So the title of your book is Average Sucks.
It does.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
The book, I mean, here's why I wrote it. I could not figure out my whole life why I'd stopped short of what I was capable of, why I had big thoughts, big dreams in my head, ability to do more, and why I kept on stopping short. And it didn't hit me till I believe it was like 2014 or 15 when I first said the term average sucks. It's not about being better than others. It's about you not stopping at your own average in life and how the book is about the psychological understanding of how we as human beings create an average for ourselves that controls our way of being. So if I were to look at most people's bank accounts or Google clicks or the things that they do, what I recognize is most people make about the same, do about the same, act about the same, go on vacation about the same amount of times, intimate about the same amount of times every year, make about the same amount of money. So average sucks is really about accepting that we have an average and how to break past it because you're never going to be happy as a human settling for what you're currently doing.
Interesting. Very good. I've read a lot about you, and the subliminal psychological triggers always captures my interest. Can you educate the audience a little bit about subliminal psychological triggers and some that they might actually have that they don't know they have?
Well, give me Give me an example of like who we'd be talking to in a scenario, because I could
It
just
has to be a,
randomly
it
teach
has
you
to be a
something.
business owner. It has to be a business owner
So
who's,
let's make up a fake business together, Sean.
yeah.
You and I.
Okay,
Tell me
great.
what they do. What's
Okay.
going on? What kind of business are they in? What's happening?
Okay, great. So they're a coach. Let's say they're a coach and they're trying to scale their business. They're stuck at $1 million and they're wondering, why can't I get over the sleep? There's people who are less skilled, less educated, less evidence-based, doing more revenue than I am. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well, first off, nothing's wrong with you. Second thing is you're worried about evidence based, and you're more worried about evidence based than you're worried about attention. And just in that one little word that you said, most people will say, but I have more evidence. I should be better. Yes, but they are getting a different result. So, what we teach is language controls what it is that we do. So, a person that is very consumed with, I'm going to find a way to let the world know what I do versus I'm going to be the best at this. They're going to wind up in two different places. I think some of the greatest basketball players in the world are probably in prison. I had someone say that to me years ago. Think about that for a second, because they're a great basketball player. They get to play all day, but they didn't learn the other stuff. And some of the not as good ones are better at selling themselves. Or there's some great basketball players in corporate America, correct? And the reason is because they never learned how to sell themselves. So part of it is, do you want the coach to know you're the best player, or are you very easy to work with? Think about that for a second. So what are you sending to somebody? Like, you can be the greatest salesman in the world, but are you a pain in the ass? Do you know what I'm saying? Are you difficult to work with? And so your job is, if you're thinking about, like, you're a coach, let's say a coach of a sports team and you're picking great players. Do you want the best player, or do you want the easiest one to work with that can get you the best results? What are you going to want more long term?
Very good. So I hear language, I hear communication, and I hear mindset.
Yes.
Let me ask you this question. How important is mindset when it comes to having success in all areas of your life and business?
Well, I think when you're worried about all areas of your life, you're always going to be miserable. And the reason is we can't do all areas at all times. The idea of balance is impossible. Like, so when people say the words like, I'm going to work out every day, I say more often than not. The first thing I'd say, Sean, is how do I get a better mindset in certain areas of my life? So if you said, I want to get a stronger mindset in business, well, the first question I'd ask you is like, well, what does mindset mean to you? And everyone's got mindset means different things to different people. So what is your definition of mindset, Sean?
My definition of mindset is perspective, the way you see things. Some people see a rainy day. I see an opportunity because most people are going to stay home.
Okay. So you like to look at it more positive and more freeing for you to create more opportunity.
1000%. I look for the nuances and I look for the angles.
Very good. So there are two ways to get what you want. One is change your actions, which is very hard. That's repetition. Number two is learning how to change your perception. That's just something that you do. Brand, advertising, and perception. Perception is where our challenge lies. So you take two kids, how they see themselves and how the others see them. Like, I'll give you an example, Sean, of this, and I can get deeper later. This is the beginning of most of my events that I do, and I've been doing events for 25 years. The way that you communicate with you about you affects how you respond to yourself. So when I talk to me about me, it's how I respond to me. It's either the day is hard or it's harder than I'd like it to be. That's not positive thinking. That's language. Hard will go in your brain of don't bother doing it. Harder than I'd like it to be gives you the presupposition that it can and will get better. That is, the brain is fueled by language. If I said sales is hard, I'm probably not going to do it very long. If I said it's harder than I'd like it to be, well, then I have an opportunity to get better. So the way that you talk to you about you affects how you respond to you. The way that you see you affects how you respond to you. But the way that I talk to me about me is how you're going to respond to me. So when I teach language and communication, it's not about what do I say? It's how do I want the other person to respond? And that is where 99% of the communicators want, what's the script? Well, it depends. How would you like them to respond? Well, I want them to buy. Okay, do you want them to buy, or do you want them to want it? Do you want them to buy, or do you want them to be a customer advocate? Do you want them to buy, or do you want it to be their idea? And that's where most people have never really learned how to motivate people. Like, I was on a podcast, and if you want me to get into this, I can. Most of us have kids We're nieces and nephews, and we want people to do better. And I'm on a podcast with this guy, Joe. Joe's got 500, 1,000 LOs. Like, I'm going to introduce you, Sean. He should be on your show. He's amazing, big business guy. And he goes, wait a second, Michael. How do you change someone's mindset? I go, well, who are we talking about? He goes, my son. And before I answer the question, I go, wait, what do you want your son to do? Now, if you want me to continue with this, I can, or I can hold that till later.
No, please go ahead, enlighten the people, because I'm sure a lot of these business owners and visionaries have children, and there's something that the child is doing that they want them to shift. So talk about that.
And they also have teammates they want them to shift, and husbands and wives they want them to shift, and boyfriends and girlfriends they want them to shift.
That they want to shift.
Clients, so stop. Yeah. So I said to this guy, I said, what do you want your kid to do? He goes, I want him to be motivated to be better at basketball. And I looked him in the eyes. I said, Joe, does your son even know he can be good? And he paused and he goes, huh. Do you know 99% of your clients, Sean, and everyone's people that don't even know they can be great? They think it's a good idea. They've never even had the conversation with themselves other than a random Saturday, waking up at the middle of the night and go, what the hell am I doing wrong? I know I can be better. So you got to understand the drugs in the mind. See, most people, they walk up to someone, Sean, and they go like this, man, you could be better than you're doing and I can help you. Does that really make you feel good, or does that, be honest, or does that make you feel a little insecure? But we do that, Sean. I do it too. It's horrible. It's a way of dominating a person. If you walk up to someone and go, your brand is screwed up and I can help you, does that make someone feel good or feel like crap?
Feel like crap.
So if you walk up to someone and go, you know you could be better, you make them feel horrible. And you hit them with cortisol, which takes all the oxytocin out of the body, versus hit them with this, a serotonin rush, which is what a shit-eating grin that a quarterback has. Like all the women, they like the Tom Brady back in the day, or I grew up with Phil Simms was my guy when I was a kid. Remember Phil Simms played for the Giants? And he had that grin. All quarterbacks have that grin, and women like it because it's a confidence grin. Well, how do I produce confidence in a kid? So our job is to empower other people. So I said, here's what I want you to do tomorrow, Joe, is I want you to grab your son, maybe after breakfast, when he's all eaten. I want you to look him in the eyes and say this. If you ever want to get better at basketball, I might have a couple things that can help you. Put up your hands like you're in a fight and walk away and see what happens. Well, Joe calls me the next day. He goes, Michael, I don't know whether to love you or kill you. I said, what happened? He goes, I did it. And my son came to me the next day on his own accord. And now I got to get him a freaking coach. And the reason I'm saying that is if you can get people to come to you and it's their idea, they feel good at the decision. So when I meet with people, the first thing I do is, how do I get this person empowered? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the day, big and empowered. Not how do I sell them things and make sure I know what I'm talking about? Because if I come across that I know more than you do, I make you insecure. I need you to be confident. So my job is, how do I empower another human? And we can take this that way, this direction, because I got things, Sean, that I will show everyone here. They listen that they can do in a meeting. 5 minutes from now, they can turn it into a empowered client and potentially money within 5 minutes.
Whew. We're good right there. All right, Mike, tell us about how people are going to become more financially secure, like you just promised you were going to do.
So I can't guarantee it'll make you money because I can't promise your product is going to deliver what it's going to do. But if your product is good, which you wouldn't be watching if it wasn't, if your service is good, this is going to work for you. So let's play a little game here, Sean. Let's pretend you are a person listening to this that owns pick another industry. We did coaching. Pick another person that you would work with.
Let's say dentist.
A dentist. Okay. So if somebody comes in for cosmetic dentistry, let's use cosmetic because it's not just a cleaning, little higher end. What do most dentists say, or humans, at the beginning of a meeting, whether it's a dentist or a real estate agent, somebody walks in right after the handshake. What is usually the first thing that somebody does at the beginning of an appointment?
How can I help you? Discovery process.
Yeah, and it sounds like a discovery, which is kind of like CIA, FBI, Mossad. It sounds like you're about to get interrogated, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's not comfortable, is it?
No, it's probably not.
So imagine you sat down with me, and before we got started as cosmetic dentistry, instead of me saying, hey, what brought you in today? And what kind of teeth do you want? And what have you noticed? And how do you feel? And I'm going to question you and make you insecure. What if I did the same thing I talked about a minute ago? And I would have said, so Sean, first off, before we even get started with the appointment, I want to commend you in advance for even coming in here today, because many people talk about getting a beautiful, bright smile and really taking care of their looks and how they feel about themselves. And here we are actually doing it. You should be proud of yourself, my friend. The fact that we're meeting, this is powerful. And the reason we do that is I just gave you a dose of serotonin, which is you feel proud of you. I didn't say I'm proud of you. I said you should feel proud of you. So if it's a real estate agent, I'd say, hey, listen, before we even get started with a meeting, I just want to commend you in advance for even taking the time to consider it. Getting a house you'd always love to have, that you'd love to live in. Most people talk about having that house, and here we are actually sitting down to do it. Be proud of yourself, my friend. This separates you from others. I've just given you what you've wanted from your mom and dad your entire life. I've just given you attention. I told you you told you were great. I didn't tell you were great. And I spoke to Sean, not your inner child, not that little boy or little girl inside that wants a pat on the back.
Hey, really quick. Did you know that most leaders don't have a revenue problem? They have a positioning problem. If you're leading at a high level and know your brand should be working harder for you than it is right now, my team and I offer a curated small number of strategy calls each month. This is not for everyone, but if you're a leader who knows your expertise deserves a bigger platform, and you are open to a working session where we look at your leadership, your positioning, and whether there's a clear path to scale your influence and impact so you can have independence, if that sounds like you and the conversation that you need, you can book a call directly with me here now. Go to www.shanrais.com and click book a call. Once again, it's www.shanrais.com, or just click the link in the show notes. Now back to the show. Now, this is why we had to bring you on, because this is one of the things that people miss all the time about sales. I always say it's never you against the client. It's always consultative and more complimentary. Your job is to make them feel absolutely phenomenal about themselves and make them feel good about the steps that they're taking towards correction and redemption, right? So it's kind of like the hero story. So a lot of people take the antithetical spaces where a person is against the other person and they're closing them, right? As opposed to opening their mind, opening their heart, and working together against a common goal or a common objective or a common problem, as opposed to seeing their former state or their present state as the problem that they created. This is very good. This is very good. You remind me of a lot of people. And I'm thinking of Tony Robbins as you speak. I'm constantly being reminded of the way that you present. Tell me about motivation and tell me about a person transforming their state.
So when you say the word state, most people hear that word, unless they've been through a Tony Robbins or neurolinguistic programming, they have no idea what that is. State to them is there's 50 states in America, and is it like a province in Canada? They don't know what the hell it is. So state is your state of mind and your emotional state or your mental state. So just I want to create some clarity for people that are listening, because if I don't include that, you'll hear me for 10 minutes and not understand what I meant by that. So whenever you're working with somebody, whether I'm helping somebody through coaching or I'm working with somebody through anything that they're working on that they want to get better at, it's all state management. So when a person isn't where they want to be, they're very indecisive of changing, and they're very certain about what they're currently doing. So our job is not to tell them that they're being indecisive, because they're very decisive on the thing they're already deciding. So part of state management is to really ask ourselves, what state of mind am I in? And what state is this other person in? And what state would be better for me to be in? And what state would be better for them to be in? Which no one I've ever heard say it that way prior, which means I'm excited right now. But if I walked up to you and you just walked out of a yoga session, I want to sell you stuff, and you just walked out of it, and I'm like this, we're not going to work. So I need to first go, what state am I in? I'm hyper and excited. What state are you in? Calm and zen. Got it. What state would I need to be in to be better? I need to be a little more relaxed. What state do I need to get you in? I need to get you to pay attention. So my job is whenever I work with people, and if you notice my state changed and my voice just changed, a lot of it is our inner dialogue is. So as you're listening right now, if you just felt yourself get a little calmer, it's the way that I'm communicating. So the purpose of this is everything I teach is basically about how do I get attention, lower resistance, and make people receptive that you can have what it is that you want. If it's what I'm offering, great. If not, I'll show you where you can go. So part of state is, can you make people aware of what they're currently doing? Like Sean, I would tell people, I'd say branding is not a comfortable thing to talk about. What it is you've never said that to anybody. It's the truth, isn't it?
It is the truth.
I promise you, I love you, Sean. You've never walked up and say, there's nothing comfortable about having to admit that your brand may or may not be what it needs to be yet. There's nothing comfortable. Isn't that true?
It is 100%.
It's a wonderful thing to say because it's the truth. There's nothing enjoyable about getting a mortgage until it's done. There's a bunch of paperwork. It's uncomfortable. It's not enjoyable. Now we're meeting them where they're at. If you go, oh my God, are you excited about getting a new mortgage? No, no one is. It's going to cost you 40, 50 grand in friggin' upfront stuff.
That's
It's
right.
a bunch of paperwork. It's vulnerable. It's like walking around in a freaking Speedo. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not fun. Do you know what I'm saying? I never had a Speedo, but you get the concept. But that's what most people don't realize is what's really going on and what's really happening and calling out the state that they're in. So if you're meeting with somebody, I would say to them, again, the dentist, there's nothing enjoyable about holding your mouth open for 3 hours while I adjust your teeth. But what is enjoyable is in a month from now when somebody says something's different and you don't tell them, I don't know, maybe I've been reading books. And you and I both know it's because you and I got to talk and I got to chat. And I'll whisper and I'll sing songs to you while we're doing it. But at least you've gotten them to go,
Wow. So let me ask you a question because this has to come up and it has to come up now because everything that you said has a lot to do with science and research. It's completely edified. What is the educational background or is there?
Well, I love that question. I had a lady the other day go, this lady goes, I'm a certified coach by the US, whatever it is. I have 100% zero certifications. I studied neurolinguistic programming. I failed Psych 101 3 times. I charge more than any therapist in the country. I help people get over major trauma and phobias. I have people that fly in, like Glenn Ledwell that owns Mind Movies. He owns Flight Club, Flight Club is one of the biggest masterminds out there, Glenn. He'll tell you I got over his fear of public speaking. You know, Eric Berman will tell you the same thing. You won't speak easy with him. The purpose of this is I have no psychological background. I have learned to use a little something called words. I have done my 10,000 hour rule by the time I was 28 years old, and I was really good at what I do. So I will exchange a certification, which is a piece of paper, for results any day of the week. And all you have to do is go to my Instagram and you will scroll and you will see thousands of people that we've had a chance to work with and the results we get. But it's always funny because people say, like, what do you do? I invented human interaction technology, which is a certification that we teach people, but the certification is not the goal. The goal is being good at it. And it's how you use your language, words, and actions to get the things you want. And it's a connection between your conscious and unconscious mind. So your mind is working at a higher level. So I'm a C student. So Sean, I didn't get into business school at Arizona State. They told me I wasn't a good business guy. I charge more. I been asked to speak at Arizona State University 2 to 3 times. I've been paid to speak. One week it was Robert Kiyosaki. Another week was me. And together we didn't have a 4.0 GPA. Okay. And I laugh about that because most people are looking for degrees, and I'm looking for a degree of excellence and a degree of perfection. I'm looking for a degree of like, what makes me great at this? So I don't need to prove myself. I'm just talented, and my talent came from a dedication and obsession.
So what is your advice to someone who's wondering, do I have to go to school to be successful in business or should I just run it, gun it, and let it figure itself out?
I mean, school and entrepreneurship have absolutely 100% nothing to do with each other. I'm just going to be blunt. They have nothing to do with each other. It is a genetic predisposition being an entrepreneur. Here's what you need to understand about being an entrepreneur. Can you deal with really challenging things for a period of time and still hold your dream in front of you? That's entrepreneurship.
Nice.
It's, can you hold $200,000 in debt potentially, or 20 grand in debt, while you're dreaming and looking someone in the eyes and going, man, I don't have it all figured out, but I know I'm good at what I do. Entrepreneurship is about creativity and the ability to share your vision and your dream with people. There's not a course in any school on earth that will teach you that. If we're talking entrepreneurship, you want to help another man or woman run a company, you can go to school and learn how to do that. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, go to school if you feel like it. Go sell Cutco. Go get into network marketing. Go in sales. Ask Sean if you can intern with this company. Sean, I was sitting with a lady yesterday. She said she was a waitress, really sharp at this Italian restaurant we were at in Arizona. And I looked at her and she goes, I want to get into marketing. I said, we got an internship. You come work with us. You go learn marketing 10, 15 hours a week. You will learn 10 times more than you ever will in school. Come in, watch what we do. We'll teach you for 6 months, 8 months, learn on the job. You get a chance to get better. So no, you don't need school. You need to go to the school of, I'm willing to do what it takes, and find somebody like Sean and these guests he brings on and study their thinking, their mindset, their ideas. And that's going to assist you. Because some people listening now thinking I'm crazy. I can back it up in the bank. I could back it up in my building. I could back it up with my results.
Okay, great. Let's talk about that for a moment, because a lot of people wonder, like, how big is a business? How big is your business? How many people do you have working for you? What can I really expect to be different? Because some people have regular jobs. They work, how do you say, 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week. They have very little time off. They get 2 weeks, and they get 2 weeks transferred for 52 weeks working for someone else. It's kind of funny how they do
Are
the.
they listening to this show right now?
Say it again.
Are they listening to this show?
Of course they are, because the people who watch this show are people who are looking for freedom at an exponential level. So they're all looking for freedom. Some of them are trying to get it, grow their business, add a zero to their number, make their yearly income monthly, monthly income weekly, weekly income daily. But ultimately, what people want is freedom. So that financial freedom, let's just talk to the people a little bit about your business, the success that you've had, the kind of numbers you've experienced, so that they can be inspired and aspired to reach out, to study, to learn more, to really understand what's really possible.
Well, let me gain and lose fans at the same time. Freedom is a messed up word. You already have freedom. Every one of you has. You're choosing to do the thing you're currently doing. So let's get really real. If you live in America, Canada, or almost anywhere in the free world, you have freedom. So let's just stop looking for freedom. You already have it. What you mean is you want to make your actions economically change your economic situation. So why I'm saying that is, I get freedom. I've been around all the direct sales stuff. I've been through never been an Amway, but that's where the big word freedom came out in the 1970s, Rich DeVos. And I totally understand they are the original reasons that word freedom is in the world. That wonderful company that came out called Amway, that was the American way, created that word freedom. I love the word freedom and I love it, but very few people use their freedom to get ahead. You're using your freedom to listen to this podcast. So what I've recognized over the years is our business is done. I own real estate. I own a building. I have a $250,000 Zoom studio down there, a 36-foot video wall. I own everything. We're debt free. Done about $100 million in sales over the years. I'm 48 years old. We own real estate. We own buildings. We work with coaching clients. We do very, very well. You can come out, check out the place, go see me online. We get millions of hits on some of our videos on Instagram because we're really great at what we do. What I'm going to inspire all of you to realize is stop looking for freedom and start looking for the next level of stability. And what I mean by that is the next level of stability is if you're making a current job and you're making 100 grand a year current job, and you got a little lemonade stand on the side, or you're crocheting dog mittens, or you're doing something else, or you've got a business that makes 400 grand a year. What is the next level of struggle or the next level of get by that you can get to? Potentially it's 100 grand. This is my mentor. You probably heard of this guy up there, a guy named Jim Rohn. Do you see it up there? That's Jim.
That's right.
That's me as a little boy. You see my little boy? That's me as a little boy in gym. He took me under his wing when I was 19 years old and taught me, same with Tony. And what's interesting about Jim, what I learned, I'd go to his events and I'd help out. Now you're catching how it all comes together, right?
Yeah, I knew there was a connection, the human connection. I knew there was a human interactive connection between you guys. Go ahead.
Yeah. And one of the things Jim would say is, what is your next level of greatness? Not ultimate greatness. And I challenge you to do that. And what it is I'm going to get good at sales, or I'm going to get good at one part of the business, which is, let's say, sales. I'm going to get to where when I talk to 10 people, 3 of them buy, and I can make $9,000 a month, whatever it is. And I'm going to get that so good that it's predictable. Because when it's predictable, you got a business. If it's not predictable, you got a job. So I am very good at what I do. And this is the part, like these little takeaways that I'm saying, like I
Yeah,
remember, Sean, being
that
in an
was
elevator
good.
in Indiana, and I've listened to, I don't know where it is, but I got like Jim Rohn audio on tape. And I'd listen all the time, thousands of times, The Art of Exceptional Living. And I remember these words changed my life. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is something you attract by the person you become. That's Jim Rohn right there, who said it. He's passed on in 2009. And I probably don't go a day without listening to any of his audios. Every single day I listen to for somewhere between 3 to 30 minutes every day because it works for me. It's part of my therapy / help me grow. But if you want to be inspired, I'm just going to challenge all of you to, if you want freedom, probably skip entrepreneurship. If you want to change your life and own your time and really be your own person, take on entrepreneurship. You will get financial freedom down the road, but an entrepreneur doesn't really want to be free. An entrepreneur wants to be free to share what they believe and how they feel and what they do. That's the freedom. Because you never get a day where you don't have to do anything for a long period of time because we're obsessed. We want to work all the time. We love it.
We definitely do, though. We definitely do. This is great. So as I look to the side, what I'm doing is I'm writing down what you're saying, guys, Mike, and I hope that you guys are too. Always listen to what the people say. Don't come to this podcast without a pen and a pad. Make sure you take copious notes because this is the true business school and this is the true business education. You know, something that surprised me when I went to college, because I did chase the degrees, right?
I got one too.
Okay, great. So there was a time when in my life I had to make some changes and I had the wrong book against me. So I had to get some paperwork to work in my favor. And I knew that because we're a degree-driven society, I said, in order to get a chance or in order to get a break, I've got to speak the language of the world that I live in. And the language of the world that I live in is education. So I had to go into college to pull out of college the salient points that I wanted to then turn into what my business is. And like you said, if it's unpredictable, it's a job, which is any job because you can be let go from any job at any time. And then what's actually scalable or reproducible is what you have when you have a business. So my degrees were IO psychology, organizational development and change and leadership. But this is the funny part. None of them told me how to go live on Facebook, right? None of them told me how to go live on Facebook. None of them told me how to create value. So value was one of those elusive words. And for those who know, we just, COVID happened, everybody shut down, everything shut down. And for the life of me, one of the main things that caught my attention that I observed and noticed, because coming from Harlem, you have to observe and notice everything. The business teachers did not own a business. All of the finance teachers were strapped for cash. All of the communications teachers did not communicate effectively. So it was a conundrum for me. And then when COVID actually happened, the thing that we did that exploded the business, none of them gave me that advice, could have given me that advice, or could have succeeded at what we actually did. Right. So it was a conundrum. It was contradictory, but the salient points did serve me well, as I know they served you well. The question that I have, when you came on and we talked privately, you told me about some very colorful, interesting characters that you
Yep.
helped in their lives. So
Yep.
could you mention one or two of those names? I'll let you choose who, because I know it's sensitive with the privacy, but I want you to
Yeah.
mention a couple of people that people might know, and then basically the breakthroughs that you helped them to accomplish.
Well, I'll tell you a couple of them. I work with some UFC fighters. Some of those I'll get into later, potentially or not. You can search my wallet, you can find that out. I also had the chance, 2019, I had a good friend of ours, young kid, got me to go work with an influencer at the time. He was an influencer, not a boxer yet, but Jake Paul. And I had an opportunity to go work with him. Super smart guy. A lot of people, they give him a hard time. The guy's a genius, like absolute marketing genius, business genius. When you talk with him, absolutely amazing. And he's so smart that he wanted to work on mindset. And this before he'd already boxed, but before he did the big boxing stuff. So I take zero credit for being his coach through this whole process. But I will tell you, at the beginning in 2019, I worked with him several times in person and then on the phone, and we talked about where he was at and where he wanted to go. And he had this idea of where he wanted to go, and he had what he was doing, and we connected the dots. So the best of the best go out there and do that stuff. Like I had another guy come in. He's one of the top 10 takedowns in UFC, so you can go watch it. I'm not going to throw him out there for this, but he had a concern that he was about to go against a fighter. No different than a business owner calling somebody they're insecure about calling. And what happened was he jumped on to work with me, and he goes, Michael, I've got this picture of this guy. And I said, listen, you're scared of him. What do you picture? He's like, I picture him big. Well, the dude is only 3 inches taller, but he's picturing him like he's freaking Godzilla. And I helped him change perception. He did a takedown that day where I was worried I was going to get sued. He picked the guy up, dropped him backwards. I thought he was going to break his neck. And I'm thinking, that's the level of, I guess, mindset I put this guy in. That he literally picked the dude up, dropped him backwards, 15-second takedown. It was absolutely incredible. Why am I saying this? Because our perception of how we see ourselves versus others, this is the challenge people have. We put people on a pedestal. We put me on a pedestal, you on a pedestal. You mentioned Tony Robbins earlier. You might mention Michael Gerber. You might say the people on Madison Avenue for branding. Nobody should put anything else on a pedestal, because when you put another person on a pedestal, you put yourself on the ground. Our job is to put ourselves on the pedestal and help other people get on them as well. That's the power.
And this is why we say brand you and not what you do. And one of the things that we work on here is the origin brand story, finding out what's salient, what really communicates the value, that elusive word, the value. What's the differentiation? What makes you exponentially explosive in your vertical? What makes you one of one so you can own the category? Right. I was lucky to study with Jack Welch before he passed away.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I studied with the best of the best, Jack Welch, before he passed away at the Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University. I was pursuing this is interesting because I was pursuing an executive MBA in leadership for human resources. So human resources leadership, he was talking about communication. He was talking about relationships, the speed of trust, removing the silos from businesses, very, very strong communication business. But the main thing that he said when I asked him, he said, you want to be number one or number two in your industry? Michael, he said, you got to be number one or number two. And that's why they call me Neutron Jack.
So they said number 1 or 2, like Nike, Reebok?
Yeah, he said, you got to be number one or number two, or you got to get rid of people. And you just eviscerate the entire department. So I said, well, Jack, how do you become number one or number two in your industry? And he said, well, tell me about you. What do you do? And I said, well, I'm coaching and I'm consulting and we're speaking and all the things. And I'm like, but there's a million of other people that do the same thing. And he looked at the audience. We were on a Zoom, but he looked at everybody else who was there and he said, does anybody else ever hear Sean's story about how he grew up in Harlem and how he goes to sleep like a baby on the 4th of July and January 1st and went to sleep to the sound of gunfire so nothing bothers him, and those are the 2 days that his wife gets upset with him? Has anybody else ever heard somebody say that? And nobody said anything. And he said, Sean, do you know anyone else in your area, in your vertical, speaking, coaching, consulting, who has told a story about coming from Harlem, going through the ups and downs that you have, who's doing what you're doing right now? And I got quiet and I thought about it and I said, no, I don't. And he said, that's your unique value. That's your unique value proposition. That's what makes you different. So when you lead with your story, you immediately differentiate yourself. You become one of one and you leave the pack and the herd of the people that are doing the same thing. And you become number one of a new vertical. So let me ask you this. In your development of your brand and your business, how important has been your story?
It's huge. Okay, so what I noticed was, and this wasn't because a lot of people, when they hear this story, or they read Joseph Campbell, Hero's Journey, they're like, oh my God, I need to manufacture tragedy. We have a true story. So write this down, everybody. This is important to say, and then I'm going to give you my answer. Nothing sells better than the truth. People are scared of it. So here's the truth. Sean, 90% of speakers out there have a tragic story. They get up on stage and go, "You don't get what I've been through. My mom, my Tony Robbins, I had 5 dads, washing my dishes. You've heard the story in the bathtub. My friend Sean Stevenson. Now you've been around Genius a while. You hear about Sean. Sean never grew past 3 feet. He was one of my dear friends, lived down the street. He used to help my daughter with her homework before he passed. When he was given to his mom at birth, they said, enjoy your child. You only have a little bit of time because he broke every bone in his body. That man lived to almost 40 years old, one of the most amazing souls in the world. And I say that out of love. I'm getting the goosebumps as I talk about Sean. He's with me, the other Sean. He's the other Sean.
That's right.
He's 3 feet tall. The guy, I swear to God, he's like, he went to Tony Robbins, he like the White House. He was the Oprah, like the guy was a legend. When you look at that, or you're Steve Jobs' kid, you're like either rich as heck, oh my God, Steve Forbes' kid, or tragedy. My story is down the middle. Here's my story. I grew up middle class. I didn't have to do anything. I was just okay. And I literally took the box. I went right down the middle and I literally said, here was me. I grew up where I literally just went to school, worked hard, did my thing, went through, and I could have gotten just stuck in this. My biggest tragedy was there was nothing wrong. I was okay. And I was okay. And it's like 2 alcoholics living in one house. You don't know the problem. I was safe. I was okay. I was average. And I could have lived my whole life and made $140,000 a year and taken my kids to Disneyland on a credit card. And I would have died and left my kids a little bit of money. And that would have been it. My story relates to a lot of people because I'm willing to tell it. I don't have a crazy ass screwed up story.
That's
and
right.
that's my story.
That's right. That's
And
right.
that is most people. And I don't need to tell it. So it has been very instrumental because people say to me, and I'm willing to talk about things. Like when I was working on my book, there's a guy named Tucker Max who owned a company called Scribe. That was my publisher. And I'm sitting at his house and he goes, Mike, you want to write a book that people actually read or one that makes you feel important? I said, I want to write one that people actually read. And he goes, all right, well, why don't you tell the real story? And I started talking about not making the hockey team. You know how many hockey players love my book because I talk about hockey? I know basketball's bigger. I know hockey's this big. Bunch of Canadians and 5 Americans. I get it. But man, I got them all in. I talk about me not making the team at the beginning, which is the truth. It changed my life. That was a big day. One of the hardest days to go to school the next day. I promised I'd make it. Got freaking cut from the team and I had to go to school the next day. Shit sucked. Opening chapter of my book.
Your story. Differentiated, made all the difference in the world.
Everything. But the thing is, people are scared of it because they think, who's going to care? Tell
That's
the
right.
truth. Get in there. You hang out with Sean long enough, he's going to dig out your story. He's going to pull out of you the things that you think don't matter that do. And I'm telling you, I spent time with you, Sean. You and I were like magnets. You walked into that mastermind we were at within 8 seconds. It was like, you were brand new, you didn't know anybody. And I'm like introducing you to people like in 2 seconds.
That's right.
And like you and I kept on finding each other all weekend. We're like, brother from another mother from across the bridge. Do you know what I'm saying? You're a Yankees fan though, Sean?
100%. Got
If
it.
not,
Derek Jeter.
there'll be a problem. All right. But anyways, that's my story.
I tell people this all the time. I say it's what you got packed in your closet on the top shelf in the back that you've tucked away. Like that's where your zeros are. Like everybody wants to add a 0 to their number, but your 0 is in that hero story that you're scared to tell. It's the thing that you think you can't tell, that nobody needs to know, that you think will actually push people away. The funny thing is it'll push the wrong people away. And it will attract the right people to you when you tell that origin brand story. So let me ask you this first before we...
You just remind me of something. I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah,
Go ahead. If it comes up...
No, let me stop you.
I was just going to say, I remember what you were going to ask me, but I was sitting there about at one of my events, 2000. I'm like, do I tell it? Do I not tell it? Well, I've always been an entrepreneur. So at 16 years old, it's hard to be an entrepreneur. So I saw an opportunity. And here's the opportunity I saw. I could control the liquor trade in high school. And I literally... started the fake ID business in high school. Now you might think some of you like that's wrong. I literally I was in the fake ID. I got in trouble. I did get arrested. I did get in trouble at a young age. I'm at 18 years old. Why am I telling this? A lot of people have been arrested and a lot of people connect to that. And a lot of people go, I had a fake ID. And some people judge me for having a fake ID business. And then I say to them, How bad is that? Instead of you using a fake ID every day and pretending you can't do certain things, you're the one with the fake ID as a grown adult. I was just helping kids drink. I don't drink at all now. But the reason I'm bringing that up is when I told that story, I forgot I told it. More people at that one event think that was the best story I ever told about getting arrested and being so methodical. If entrepreneurship was available for me at a young age, if my parents would have said, you want to be an entrepreneur? Let's get you into Cutco. Let's get you into start a business. They didn't know any better. And I would have done it. I would have taken that path. That's why people get into drugs and they sell drugs because they can't figure out entrepreneurship. So I am telling you that story. You don't have to have that story. People will say is one of the best. I talk about it in the book.
100%, guys. There's a story inside of you. There's something inside of you that you're hiding that you don't want to tell people about. And that is the key to unlock your origin brand story, which Michael just said becomes your very best story. Let me ask you this one question. How important is personal branding and what does personal branding mean to you?
Well, I'm certain it's important. I know we all need to get better at it. Personal branding is who you are as the entrepreneur person. Some people get confused, think it's two separate things. It's actually the same thing. My team is very up on it. It's sharing what I'm doing and what I'm up to. So prior to social media, it was branding who you are. So I look at it as like three things: what they see, what they hear, and what they feel when they experience you. So part of my personal brand is like what I do on a regular basis. I play hockey 4 or 5 days a week at almost 50 years old, right? That's part of my personal brand. I'm in my kids' life, left, right, and center. We spend a lot of time together. So that's part of my personal brand is like what I do. My personal brand is I love connecting people to each other, and it's a known fact. So I share a little bit of my journeys of what's going on. Some people share Ferraris and beach houses. I skip that. My kids into sports. There's my Ferraris and beach houses. You spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every year on your kids' sports, then it's the same kind of thing. That's my Ferrari and beach house. That's my flex. Being able to give my kids any coach or anything they need to do the things they want to do.
Let's go.
So that's mine. So everyone's got their brand. So some people's Ferraris and beach houses, I'm 6'7", man. I don't fit in a Ferrari. Okay. So instead, I pay for my kids' coaching and we travel all around the world so they can go after what they want.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Let me ask you, how can people get in contact with you?
Well, I think they're smart. My last name is Bernoff, and there's a thing called the internet. And I bet you can figure it out. And I make a joke that way because anytime you listen to a podcast, you guys should, this is what I'm going to recommend. I've never said this before, so let me just give you some insight right now for everyone here. What I would do is if you hear a podcast, I'd go find out who someone is. I wouldn't trust everything online, but I'd want to find out like, who is this person? And so find me on Instagram, watch some of the videos. You could see some of my interactions with people. Some of them have millions of views you can watch of how I work with parents and their kids, or I work with adults and different stuff. Find me on Instagram, follow me there for certain. I've got a book called Average Sucks. There's a thing called Amazon or Barnes and Nobles. You can go get the book. But like Mr. Miyagi says, you're not going to learn karate from a book. So if you really want to, if you like what you're hearing, you're like, dude, I want this guy in my life, like you should want Sean in your life, you should reach out to me directly, make it real easy on you. You can email me. I have an email address, michael@michaelbernoff.com. It's not complicated. michael@michaelbernoff.com. And that'll go to myself or my team. And the other thing I was going to say is, if you're really serious, you want to move quick, if you text the word influence, because that's what we've been talking about, to this number, 480-800-8051, 480-800-8051. That's a real person. And my team will set up a time that we can talk. Just say, hey, I heard you on Sean's podcast. I'm going to say, yeah, Sean's amazing. And then let me know how I can help. I can recommend a course or a way to help you. I'd love to do that. So it just really depends how serious you are. If you're just like, want to see what I do and watch me, go on Instagram. If you're like, dude, let's roll, send me a text, 480-800-8051. Influence is going to be like knocking on the door like in Harlem back in the day. Remember Harlem Nights? Remember that movie? Knock on the Speakeasy. That's one of my faves. That's one of my favorite movies. You've seen it, right?
100%. Of course. I lived it.
Knock on the Speakeasy door. We'll let you in the back. You just got to say Egg McMuffin or something. We'll let you in. Or Joni sent me or Jerome sent me, whatever. Knock, knock. Knock on the door. And that word is influence at that number. And we'll chat.
Very good. What is your departing words, or what is the last thing that you have to say to a business owner who's trying to build a $1 billion brand?
Get to $1 million first, then get to 10 million. I appreciate the billion. You may or may not need it. I like that you want it, but let's start with 1 and 10 because most of us shoot for a billion because we're too scared to do 10 million. I'm going to tell you the reason you say a billion is so you don't have to actually do it. So until you do 10, don't talk to me about a billion. Let's start there.
Let's
Number
go. Thank you
two.
very much. Oh, go ahead.
Number two. Very simple. Last thought. Last week, last month, last year do not have to be the same as next month, next year, next decade. Only by choice. Make some different choices. Choose to call Sean. Choose to get some real branding. Choose to listen to the podcast. Choose to share this show with somebody. If you're not sharing this show with 3 to 5 other people, that means you don't know the right people yet. Choose to meet the right people. Share with somebody. Get someone to talk to about this kind of stuff. Everyone out there should have one buddy that you talked about Sean's podcast with, and that'll be someone to grow with. So I'm going to tell you, go share it with somebody right now. If you don't get a good response, find someone else to share it with.
That's right. If you share information like this with somebody and they don't like it, that's the wrong person to be around. 1,000%. Michael, thank you for your time, guys. You have just spent the last hour, the most important time of your day with Shaan Rais and Michael Bernoff. This will absolutely change your life, change your business, change your influence, change your communication, change your mindset, change your results. It's the $1 Billion Brand Podcast. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Amazing.